All right, we should be going.
Nice. Oh boy. He's in the light.
Blinded by the light.
Oh, see, I went with Tangled. So
Tangled.
yeah, there's that song where they're putting the lanterns in the sky.
Oh, have you watched that new Disney movie?
Encanto?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Excellent.
We don't talk about Bruno. No.
I mean, I immediately had to watch it because it's on the Disney Plus. Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's really
We
good.
haven't made it there yet. We are in Paw Patrol hell.
Oh no.
Yeah, which Paw Patrol was dope for like 6 weeks, but
gotta get them on that bubble guppies, dog.
Dude, we're past that. Now my daughter is into the like the YouTube people. There's some girl named A Ferratoli. We're past Blippi. We're past most of those. Now we're on to like Roblox YouTubers. This is where we're hanging out now.
Yeah. No, Encanto's great. And my baby boo Stephanie is Mirabelle.
Rosa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although she's using like a little bit deeper version of her regular voice.
Well, like I remember in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Is it better than the other? Is it better than what's the Dia de los Muertos one Disney movie?
Oh gosh, you made the name go away from my brain.
You're welcome.
It's gone forever. I can see the cover too in my head.
Yeah, the boy plays the guitar.
Yeah.
It's got like a lot of cool Spanish stuff. Coco.
Yeah, Coco. I like it better.
Because Coco was dope, dude.
Yeah.
Coco was real good.
Yeah, it's a really good Disney movie. So if you like Coco, it's right there.
Yep. Chad, I had some. I thought about you today at lunchtime.
I don't know how to feel about that yet.
I had some Doritos Locos tacos.
Oh yeah. Oh God, I love them. They're so good, so good.
Do you really? I was like saying it just because I expected you to scold me for comparing you to Taco Bell, but
I've been.
You seem more like of a authentic, like those aren't real tacos. That's horse meat type of thing.
No, well, I mean, first of all, they're not tacos. They're American tacos, which is fine. They're still delicious, but you're not comparing the same things. So I like Taco Bell's its own thing. Same as Del Taco and any Tex-Mex food as well is different, but that's also its own separate category. So it's
Jared,
all.
What is Toro Loco? What would that be a American, Mexican to Chad?
Yes, but however, they do have the street tacos that like he's talking about that are delicious. Like if you ever get those, like they're really good.
Bruh, it's the best. Just little tortillas with meat, cilantro, and onion on the side.
Yep.
Done. That's it. Yep. That's it. And lime wedges. Boom. That's all I need.
I'm not crazy about like the onion texture. Like minced onions, onion powder, anything you do to an onion besides fry it up and like strips. I hate onions. Like onion rings, like the flavor is delicious, but the texture of like those slimy onions, dude, I just can't do it. I wish I could. Like even like onions on cheeseburgers, like put minced onion in with the meat or onion powder or something. It's delicious, but slap an onion on the top of it, and I just can't I can't chew it, man. It just grosses me out. I think I'm like 4% autistic or something.
Yeah. Nina, we went to this one place in Newport a bunch. That I was just the tacos were like $1.75, and it's just exactly what Chad's talking about. Just cilantro and onion on them. And you go there, you get 6 of them, 8 of them, and just like different meats. It's just the best.
So good.
What all kind of meats? So like obviously there's like pork and like beef and chicken.
That's
Like, what else?
too simplified.
Yeah, that's why.
That is way too simplified
Yeah.
for it. Yes, those are options, but you're
Okay.
talking like if you go to like a taco shop, you're talking like, are you talking looking for like a braised meat? Are you looking for over a spit? Are you looking for like a seasoned grilled? Are you looking for something weird like tongue or cheek or cabeza, like head meat? Like there's all the like a bunch of different cuts of each animal. The chicken is the only one that like they're either going to use thigh or breast. Usually thighs because they just have more flavor. Um, but I think a good carne asada is an easy one because it's just steak.
Say that again.
Carne asada.
Carne asada. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I don't
And
think
then
that's what you said the first time.
and then adobada
He said
is also
that. He just said it a lot
very good.
faster.
Carne asada autobata. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
What's autobata? What does that mean?
It's I'm trying to remember because I think it's treated like they learned it from the Mediterraneans. Pork shoulder, baby.
Pork shoulder.
So yeah, it's
Chad, I got this ready
Ooh.
for you tonight.
Oh, I need to make this. I don't like what I'm hearing. What you got? I didn't see.
Every time you curse, I hit you with the beep.
Did I curse?
I didn't hear the beep.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The beep didn't come through? Oh, no. I'll have to work on the beep over the week.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready?
Yeah.
I'm guessing so. I mean, sounds like we are.
Everybody has something to pour out for my section?
I don't know what I'm going to be pouring it into, but yes. You rocking the Blue Mountains tonight, Ryan, or something else?
I have. So while looking for bourbon today, I felt bad like not buying something everywhere I went. So I already drank my my 6-pack of Cougar Bait. So I've got 6 Shotgun Weddings, 12 Cold Snaps, somewhere around 18 Coors Light in case things start, really popping off.
You don't feel bad about walking out of a place, man. I love doing that. It's my favorite.
What?
Walking in and be like,
But
hey, you guys got this? Nope.
but-
And then just jamming out.
Yeah, well, the issue is that like whenever they do get stuff, they'll send me like a message and be like, "Hey, we have this," and like they'll offer it to me before it like hits everybody else. So I try to like keep that.
Is it like on a
Keep those
personal text or is that a
relationships.
company thing?
No, it's definitely personal
Okay, see,
Like,
that's different. Then yes.
because
I would.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not proud of it, but I kind of frequent a lot of these places. So
Yeah, then that one I understand now.
the only bad part is the stuff they message me about is stuff that is entirely out of my price range. They message me about
Yeah.
hey, we have this $1,400 bottle of whiskey here.
We'll have
want it?
to celebrate that if we get a a YouTube sponsorship or whatever.
No.
We got a play button.
No.
What do you want?
No.
What? Okay.
No.
What,
But there's no way we're
what you
dropping
got, Jerry?
$1,400 on a bottle of whiskey. It's just like it's not that good.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No.
It's not.
I'd rather
Once you
get
hit
plain-
like
I'd rather get
$150, the
everybody-
threshold stops.
I'd rather get everybody plane tickets and we go to Vegas and hang
Yeah.
out for a day.
Oh,
or
that would be
two or
fun.
something.
And then record in the
Yeah.
hotel room, but have like just all right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
That'd
dope.
be dope.
Maybe we let Evan come party with us. We'll see.
Oh, the Moonmeister.
Love you, Moon.
That would be hilarious.
Moon's I'll say it. He's not a big guy. Not a big guy at all. Decent height. Not much girth to him. I feel like if I gave him a good backbreaker, I could break him in half. Does wear suits to work though.
Yeah,
Gotta respect a guy that wears
Is-
suits to work.
Is he more of
every day.
a Danny Craig stature?
Yep. Yeah, I would say that's a pretty fair. Danny's probably. I would say that's actually a pretty fair. Danny might have a slightly more athletic build,
Okay.
but that's a. I would say if you put them on the scales beside each other, it would be
Yeah.
pretty close. Met him in the sports book there at the casino. I was watching NBA bubble playoffs.
Betting on that like a degenerate.
Yeah, yep. It was fucking awesome though. Oh, sorry. Beat myself. It was awesome. So,
Oh yeah.
and my wife was playing stadium blackjack. She lost several $100
Hey, I
until
mean,
she figured out how to play it.
I mean, they signed it into Ohio now, so
You can play blackjack in Ohio now?
well, you always could do that, but like they got sports gambling coming to Ohio now. Like the wine always signed it.
Oh,
Oof.
so like Barstool might be making a
They-
trip
yep,
to Ohio
They
soon?
could be. Yep.
Dude, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I already got. I mean, I passed El Dorado on my way to work, so
Let's go, baby. Let's go. We're ready.
All right, baby.
Me and Big Cat would be best friends. I already know that. All right. Are we ready?
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait till he comes out with his game.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm going to be like beta tester. Like, I think I'm going to try to actually play it.
I was
It's
just check.
probably what? 5 years out?
Oh,
Would you
yeah.
say?
Yeah. I feel like when it's going to come out, it's going to be going up against Bungie's Matter.
I think Matter will be out like a year before it is, so like everybody will be tired of it and ready for something new.
I think they're going to delay the shit out of it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely. I would not be surprised if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm ready to unmute the tab whenever you go to play the music. Oh wait, Chad's not in here. Yeah, Chad like
I think Chad's froze. Yeah,
Yep.
that's probably all that AMD stuff he has in his computer.
that. Know how you dream of like if you hit the lottery, what would you do and all this shit?
Yeah, man, dude, I have like at least $400 million spent if I win like the lottery, like, and
Well-
I'm talking like in 48 hours,
Mhm.
like I would have so much money spent. Like you guys would have some ballin' ass PCs. I promise you
that's
that.
exactly what I was about
You-
to say.
you
It's
know-
like I'm calling it a power GPU, guys. And I was like, hey, I need 6 of the baddest ass
Yeah.
gaming PCs you can
like,
build.
yep.
And then
And
everybody
you guys
has
would
like
all have like
the custom.
you guys would have a stream PC with a 3090 and everything in it, and like a gaming PC, and you would have 2 of those like super ultra wide monitors like stacked one on top of the other. So
Yeah.
you guys would be taken care of.
Oh.
VR, like the ultimate VR stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
like a Steam account with like $50,000 loaded on the wallet. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would be sweet. And then I would do whatever the donation is to get us a tour of Bungie
Mm-hmm.
and get everybody like flown there to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how
And then
like
of course like pay off my debt and all
Mhm.
that stuff too.
Yeah.
But, you know.
that's like important stuff. But like then like you find out where the like the server hub is in like Texas. And then
Can
like
move that motherfucker to my house.
well that
Just
or
in my
like that's
yard.
where you move to, and that way now you're living in Texas without income tax.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But I would I've always thought about that. Like whenever I was like in high school, it would be like if I won the lottery, I would pay to have a cell phone tower put in the backyard so I could have service at my
Yep.
house. Like how
Yep.
ridiculous is that?
Yep.
That's not that long ago, Jared. Not that long ago at all.
Like if you put one of those like high tech towers in Graham County, like businesses would come because then they would actually have access to internet to be able to like have a business. Like South Shore Giovanni's, right? They have one phone line, and then the credit card machine takes like 5 minutes to read your card.
Yep. You act like I didn't have Giovanni's tonight and know how long it takes.
Yep. Yep.
Son of a bitch.
Like nowadays, like whenever we go like try to find something new like that to get as takeout, if they don't have online ordering, like we're out. Right? It's like, well, I'm not calling.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I was like in your position, I'd be the same way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, it's not, we don't live in the world anymore where you can go like drive somewhere and try out a new place that has like an outdoor patio or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's gone. You can't just drive to like a bar and grill and try it out.
Yeah, and then you get to some of these places and like somebody recommended us this pizza place and was like, cool, ordered it online, right? And we got there and like the drive through is like 30 cars long and people ordered online just waiting to get through it. And the place is like super packed and we're like, we've never been there before. We're like, what the heck is going on? There's not even a high state game on. There's like nothing going on. It's like this place is just hopping on a Friday night. And we're like, we've had no idea.
Right. Yeah. So like people literally get in line and order their pizza while they're in line.
Yeah. And it's ready by the time they get up there.
Yep. And I like call from the daycare parking lot and order my pizza and pick it up on the way home. Like that's just the difference, I guess.
Yeah. Like there's this one pizza place just down the street and like either I can make the decision of like get it early and it's ready in 25 minutes or like try to get it around dinner time and I'm waiting an hour and a half.
And 90 minutes.
Yeah.
90 minutes to get it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the same way with fucking B-dubs here.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
like if I order B-dubs when I leave work at 4 o'clock or like 4:30, I can have it in 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But God forbid I wait until like dinner time to try to eat.
Yeah.
And it's like, it'll probably be about an hour and 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you get there and you have to wait in line like 8 people back.
Am I good? Am I good on your guys' stuff?
You didn't spring a leak in there or anything?
No,
AMD
no, I did not. I don't know what it was. There's no error code on my motherboard, so I don't know if it just decided to take a quick nap and come back.
Get the BSOD?
No, I didn't. It just restarted. It just poof. Yeah.
I've got a couple BSODs, but mine are driver related with my
I haven't had one in a minute.
Yeah.
So
I haven't had one in several months. Now that I say that, I'll have one mid-episode, but
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Anyway, someone else say it so that I don't get cursed again.
We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
yes.
Let me just
All right.
final check these settings. Yep.
Everybody's good on their Zencaster settings.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
And here we. Jared, you good?
Yep.
Welcome to episode 43 of the Conqueror's Corner podcast. My name is not Ryan Fox, and I am here with my fire team, Jared.
Hey guys, man, Hippie brought the heat today, and man, stirred up some drama inside the community very quickly.
And Chad Ocero.
Oh man, reading the tweets and the Reddit has been a lot of fun while I was at work today.
Yep.
And make sure if you guys are watching us on YouTube that you can take us on the road via all major podcast services, including Spotify, iTunes. Make sure if you are watching us on YouTube that you subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, yada, yada, yada. Click the bell. Follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Send us Bungie friend requests so we can play video games together, especially our favorite video game, Destiny 2. And Hippie, I think she got done dirty this week, guys. Really like her first TWAB. I remember she had like the little introductory TWAB a while back, but she gets this one and it got quite contentious quite quick. So Jared, let's get right into it, buddy.
Yeah, it's like somebody dealt her a Jack 5 with offsuit, like to start out. It's like, what are you supposed to do from here? You're like, you're throwing the cards in and trying to get
2-7 offsuit, right?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, what Bungie did this week on Tuesday, they dropped a new Witch Queen trailer, which was pretty cool. A lot of stuff going on there. There has a few chemistry references in there. If you look up the electron configuration thing, what they thrown in there, which leads to a Mercury reference, and then also Osmosium reference, which Chad knows more about what that's led back to. But you know, we do talk about stuff that Bungie puts out into the game, and what they just put out. We're not going to talk about spoilers of like leaks and stuff like that. But if Bungie puts it out and it's in the game, or they put it out as media, we will be talking about it. You did get to see a Sentinel Titan throw down a barricade with a shield, which was referenced in the 43.0 TWAB. It's basically like it gives you an overshield to your allies, and then you can be able to go back to that barricade and get some more shielding if you like go out and take some damage and come back. So kind of like a fortified position almost whenever you throw that down. All right, and then the next thing they got into is artifact mod updates, and they got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of good stuff, and one of them that is probably up for debate. So first off is like artifact mods and updates to them. So everybody knows you can hold 12 mods in your artifact right now. Gain so much XP, you can gradually just keep unlocking, and you have to unlock so many mods in order to get to the columns. That's 3, 4, and 5, and then by the time you get to the 5th column, you can only have 2 of them because how many you've unlocked before. So that's kind of the way they've kept that balanced in the past. And you know, to say you click the wrong mod, and then you have to reset your entire artifact again, the glimmer cost keeps going up and up. So they're going to take this stuff away a little bit. So starting in Witch Queen, the first 12 unlocks of the artifacts are going to be just as normal, pretty much about the same XP required to get to there. But after that, after you get that 12th one unlocked, you can start progressing towards the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th, all the way up to you can theoretically unlock them all. Now, they said in theory that you could do that, so it might take a lot of XP. We don't know how much that takes, but in a season like we have now, I think majority of the community would be unlock many extra mods. How long this season takes, but we start going back to that 3-month cycle. We might, we might be not unlock all 25, depending on how long you play. We might have to be doing a lot more bounty grinding instead of just bounty stacking right before the season starts. So all in all, that's a good change. I'm tired of resetting my mod just because I don't want to use focusing lens. I want to use one of the other melee thing that's in the artifact and spending 40, then 50, then 60,000 glimmer. Go visit Spider like one of the last few times, before he's toast. All right, the next thing they talked about here is champion artifact mods. So champion artifact mods dictate how the season's gonna play out, right? I mean, we remember back in season 10 when Grandmasters first started, and Overload was on sidearms and hand cannons or something like that, right? Which hand cannons was pre-buff, so they only had like a 25-meter range, which was just terrible. So we always using Ariana's vows and stuff like that. But going forward, they're going to try to fix some of the pain points of some of the mods that we've had. So like if you remember Overload, SMG, and auto rifles, like they never seemed to proc right. Like you be shooting the champion and like you be shooting and it just never proc the Overload stun. So they did a pass at those to try to make them more reliable in the upcoming season. So we will be having Overload, auto rifle, and SMG and Witch Queen. And we're also getting anti-barrier scout rifles and bows. They said those are like perennial favorites, and for anti-barrier, that's not really my perennial favorite. I don't know about you all, but like to me, it was the sniper rifle was my favorite anti-barrier. And then other than that, I actually enjoyed auto rifle at times for anti-barrier.
I don't know, man. I really like the scout. I thought this obviously sniper is one, but scout is a really close like 1B in my opinion.
I liked auto rifle as well. Scout was just the easiest because obviously it's earlier on and we needed that range.
Yeah.
Now we're getting a little closer to our enemies because we're not as scared as we were.
Yeah.
So auto rifle range isn't as bad. But yeah, I mean, depending on the strikes, I prefer scout. Sometimes I'd be like, you know what, I'd rather have an auto rifle. So either one's fine with me.
Yeah. I really hope that what they do with the auto rifle SMG, it's the same mod, right? That you click an artifact. It's not two separate ones. It's like the double one that you can get. I really hope they do that. Always like when they put that in there. We also know we're getting the weapon called a glaive.
I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. Whenever you say that, do you mean like the fusion rifle / linear fusion rifle, kind of how they have that set up now? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that would be nice. I agree. I don't think they will do that, but that would be nice. But man, a lot of this it's so hard because without knowing what this weapon crafting system thing is going to do until we get it figured out, we're all kind of just speculating, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think that they haven't said anything on how it's going to be changed to how you interact with champions. So like, it's still going to be champion mods on our gauntlets for the most part.
I mean, we are pretty sure that's the case, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not that way. Like, what if it's something that you can just swap out on the weapon itself?
They won't do that because they don't want people using the same thing. So like, I can make a hand cannon with unstoppable rounds and crafting, right? I will never have to care about what seasonal mod there is for unstoppable because I always have an unstoppable hand cannon.
No, that's not exactly what I mean. So like, you know that unstoppable, like this season, unstoppable was what, like fusion rifles and swords? and linear fusion rifles or something like that.
Fusions
or
and sidearms.
bows. Yeah, fusions and sidearms. So any fusion and any sidearm this season, you can slap that mod onto the weapon, and then that rotates. I mean, I'm not saying that that's likely what's going to happen, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens.
They already did that and changed it. That was how it used to be.
Right, but now the issue is it seems like they're trying to take some of the stuff off of the armor. You know what I mean? Or like off of the weapons as far as like masterwork well, we'll get into this later, but like orb creation off the weapons. What if they're doing that so you can put the mod on the weapon?
Well, they already have the mod slot, so that's a non-issue right now. That's something that they've already done. It didn't impact Masterworks at all whatsoever, so that's a non-issue right there.
Jumping ahead, Fox. All right, just hold on. We're not there yet. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
All right. So back to champion mods inside the artifact. Okay, we know we're getting the glaive weapon next season, which is like a hybrid of a sword that can also shoot a projectile and throw down some kind of shield at some point, depending on maybe like the archetype. There might be 2 different types of glaives or something, and then how you craft it. So they're also mentioning here that you can be able to use a glaive to get unstoppable champions to deal with those, and also some other mods to go along with that. Something I can think of, like just like now they have the protective sword mod where you take decreased damage when you have your sword out. Maybe the same thing with a glaive, or like you're more likely to produce an orb of power or a well with using the glaive that matches your subsystem type and stuff like that. So we have that to look forward to in using a new weapon, at least for unstoppable champions. All right, the next thing here is about is your armor affinity type and like your arc, solar, void, stasis. So they're trying to help us out with a little bit of vault space here, and they're saying that it's going to make it a lot cheaper whenever your armor is fully masterworked to change the energy type. So for legendary armor, it's going to cost 10,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. And exotic armor is going to cost 20,000 glimmer and an upgrade module. So, I just, whenever I read this and seen it, I was like, all right, I'm going to go look at my vault. I had like 3 different backresses, right? For just like different colors. And, same thing for a couple different colors of stompies or stuff like that. So now it's like, all right, just pick the best roll. And whenever you're building something out, you're like, oh, I need this one to change over. It's cheap now. So just maybe
kind of chess pieces were the main thing for like resist mods, like Phoenix Protocol. I had 1 of every flavor on it. Now I can get probably down to 2, like maybe 1 with a high discipline build and 1 with a high intellect build or something like that. I don't have to hold 4 anymore.
Yeah, now you can run the exact build that you already have and like on different flavors. Now that's a nice change. We've been talking about, I know Ryan put the ideas like just do a double or triple masterwork. Like I have the material, let me do that and just flip-flop between the 2. This one's technically cheaper because you only need to masterwork it once. Mm-hmm. And then you can just move it around. Just 10,000 glimmer, 20,000 for an exotic and upgrade module, and then you just switch it. So it's a lot cheaper than Ryan's idea. But it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, it definitely is exactly the same thing. But hopefully they don't make masterwork cores, like 5 masterwork cores is 1 ascendant shard or something.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. All right, so the last thing here they're talking about artifact mods and just like mods in general is that they're changing the way we get orbs of power with masterwork weapons. All right, so instead, creating orbs of power, it will be tied to a helmet mod for a damage type. So that means we'll have a stasis one, a kinetic one, solar, and arc added to the helmet. We're already using ammo finders. We're using I don't use them a lot. Whenever you use them, like you get grenade kill, you get more super energy. Your
Targeting mods.
targeting mods, yep, whenever you need that. So, man, there's another thing for another slot. So, what the reasoning for this is that for those mods to be unlocked, will all be unlocked in Come Witch Queen. And this is done with a thought of weapon crafting and the ability to produce orbs with an exotic that didn't have a catalyst yet. So you're thinking like Thorn and Cloud Strike, and there's weapons that are just like generalized that you can now produce orbs.
Anarchy.
Yeah, Anarchy, yeah. It's collecting a lot of dust right now.
Word. It got a cool ornament with the solstice stuff though.
Mm-hmm. So again, Bungie's leaning back into the fact that you need to match your mods, like your solar mods, with your solar weapons, with your solar subclass, to get all that stuff matched up in order to make your build happen. Which for the most part, I'm not a fan of.
I mean, really, the only thing it does is it stops us from, like, if we go into a GM, we can't have 222 of every like weapon like flavor. So I can't run Arc Solar, and Chad runs Void Solar, and Jared runs Arc Void, and we're always covered. They're trying to get us to like more spec into a Solar Arc Void, kind of more spec into that, which I understand. I mean, Bungie they're trying to make it more of a RPG in a way, to where we have like designed, instead of like somebody being a healer and somebody being a tank and somebody being DPS, instead of doing it like that holy trinity, they're having the holy trinity of Solar, Arc, and Void. So it's two approaches to kind of the same thing.
I mean, what it's going to end up doing is going to end up forcing someone to be all of one thing. So someone's going to be all Void, someone's going to be all Solar, someone's going to be all Arc. The thing that's going to make that really bad is that you can't mix and match Charge with Light mods. There's lots of flavorless ones, but you're gonna, you can't go stacks on stacks with supercharged, and with, because they're gonna be, it's just gonna be all over the place. And if you're running content and you're like, well, I need to use this gun, not this gun, and this gun's Arc, and this one was Void, and now I got to switch that, but it doesn't match my subclass, and now I need to switch my helmet mod to an Arc one because of the Arc thing that I got. It's
So this is the thing. The Bungie's wanting us to change even more. And you know how Destiny players are. It took us 2.5 seasons before we started using Charge with Light mods. It took us 3 seasons before we started using well mods. And it just like this change is going to take us another 2 seasons before we even get into the mods, because whatever new mods they're introducing in Witch Queen, they won't have all the mods out because they'll start introducing them again in the season after that.
Yep.
So whatever they're going to try to get us to switch over to, we won't like it because the whole package isn't even there yet. So we're going to continue to fall back what we just have, and they just now took the most viable ways away from us.
Yep. Yeah, my main point was going to be, we have to see what it's like in our hands before we really dig into it. Because I am annoyed by them forcing me. They're basically pigeonholing me into doing a specific thing while preaching build crafting, and it's like, that's not build crafting. But again, I don't have it in my hands, so I can't really try it out to see what it's gonna actually feel like. So I don't know. I hope it's the right change.
This isn't like, this is gonna sound like I'm popping off at you, Chad, but I swear to God, I'm not on everything. Like, what the hell do we need to build craft for in this game? 95% of the stuff we do is just mindless shooting an enemy. Like, there's one day a year that it matters what your build is, and then kind of 6 times a season, kind of, that you have to worry about a build a little bit for a Grandmaster Nightfall. Like, what else are we, like, everybody wants to talk about build crafting, but like, what are we, like, this game isn't an MMO where we have, 14 different character possibilities, like we have a hunter, a titan, and a warlock that are 90% the same thing.
Build crafting is how cheesy you can make something happen. That's what build crafting is.
Yeah, I got enough of build crafting and Iron Banner last night to last me for a while.
Oh, yeah. So, with a lot of these mod changes and stuff that we're just talking about here, it makes me come back thinking about artifice armor that you get from the master dungeon. Like, I should just replace all my armor with those. I shouldn't have a piece of legendary armor that's not one of those. How many mods I want to have on. Like, if you look at your arms and you want a reloader perk at all, and you're going to have that to go along with the champion mods. Unless you're using an exotic that has the champion mod on it.
But I mean, like, so anything barrier, you're nutty if you don't use Arbalest. If one person doesn't have Arbalest, you're doing it wrong at this point, because they can knock every shield. Like, match game is negated with Arbalest. So, I mean, Divinity, I mean, not only does it give you the 25% damage bonus, but it handles like that champion mod. Like, there's so much stuff that you can easily do to negate having to have that. If you have people that have all the exotics and all that, like we are accustomed to running with.
So, what's going to happen, Fox? Everybody's going to be running those. And Bungie's going to nerf them into the ground. It's like, nope, everybody's using Divinity, everybody's using Arbalest, and the Grandmasters, right? Just how everybody's using Divinity and Izanagi's Burden, right? They nerfed Izzy into the ground, and they nerfed snipers at the same time. Nobody's running Izanagi's Burden in GMs anymore because of that, because that's what everybody was doing. So now
that's true.
And everybody's going to be using Arbalest, everybody's going to be using Divinity, and then they're just going to take those away from us too. Because they made it so difficult to build into the other ways of the game. When people was like, well, I'll just use the easiest thing possible because you made it too difficult for me. I don't want to spend 15 minutes building something out, which now that Dim has helped us out now, building loadouts and can switch stuff quickly. Right. But I don't think...
And what's the other one? Majago? Chad? What's the other one we want to give them a shout out to?
I think that's the word.
They're like D2 armor picker or something like that is the... Yep.
So, like, but I don't think majority of the player base are really looking into building those loadouts. And now they're just making this stuff more complex and difficult on the average player, which this game, it has a very high, very hard interest rate for new players to jump into.
Does it though? Like what percent of people do you think should be able to complete all 6 GM Nightfalls?
Now, Jared, are you talking about new people getting into the game?
Yeah, I'm talking about new people getting into the game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's almost it's highly improbable to get a new person into the game. The only real reason for that is because they see the grind. They play. They're like, yeah, this is fun, but I don't have anything really good. And then we're like, well, yeah, just play it for a while and you'll get stuff. And then 5 hours, 10 hours later, they're like, well, I haven't gotten anything. You're like, yeah, you're not there yet. You'll get there.
Yeah.
And most people are like, dude, I just want to get in and play the game. I just want to get in, play my game, win or lose, and then start another round fresh and do that, which is fine. I do that too a lot. But that's, that being most of the player base, we're not going to get them in here.
So, if you look into just to go play PvP, right? So, hey, go equip a shotgun and a hand cannon, right? But you can't just equip a shotgun and hand cannon, right? You need unflinching hand cannon mods. You need shotgun dexterity. You need Icarus for your hand cannon. You need targeting mods for your helmet, right? there's no direct avenue for a player to go get those.
Yep.
Well, this is another topic. How hard it is to somebody get into this game. All right. So we're gonna go back to here about the taking away the masterworking of the weapons. And Fox mentioned earlier how they're taking away basically a functionality of the weapon to give it space to do something else. So Chris Proctor, which is the sandbox, I think he's the sandbox lead.
I believe so.
No, he's the weapons lead. He's the weapons lead. He's mentioned multiple times about how they can't add any more stuff to weapons to at the max how much stuff they can put onto them because bad things start to happen. So
yeah, and whenever he says that, he's talking about memory, like the memory, because you got to remember we're still holding on to consoles that came out in 2013. So the RAM that these consoles have, what is it, 6 gigs or something, or that like the Xbox One has? I'll look it up while you guys are talking. But I mean, I think all of our computers have like 32 gigs of RAM, and these consoles are running 6. So, or Chad has 128 or something because he's a nerd, but the rest of us, most of us are running 32. So, but I mean, so whenever they kind of can't do anything else with the weapons because they're at the memory limit of the weapons. So whenever they say bad things happen, that is what they are referencing in the research that I did today.
Yeah. So that's what came to mind to me. And like we talked about before how they was like, how are they going to make us chase these new weapons, right? Are they going to add scopes or stocks or just a whole other perk column to them? So this is going along the lines of that with this new weapon crafting. So taking some of the ways so maybe something cooler and better can go into its place.
They have 8 gigs of RAM. I was wrong. It's 8.
Okay.
Each the base PS4 and the base Xbox One each have 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah. So as we continue to hang on to those, there's a limit to what they can do. Yeah. So hopefully the weapon crafting and stuff makes all this worth it. A lot of the people from Bungie and the people that are in the know, that's what the people they was like liking their tweets and retweeting stuff that people was like, hey, this just opens up a slot for them to put something else on the weapon. So we'll see. We'll have to see how it plays out. It's like Chad mentioned before, but change.
So would you rather live in a world to where you can get the role that you want by like upgrading a weapon, whether that be amount of kills or unlocking a perk, or it's hard to really say what that is, but you know that even no matter what, there is a path for you to unlock the role that you want, or you can get a couple orbs for getting multi kills. Which would you prefer?
Okay, so but those two things don't have to exist that way. What they're adding an additional mod to the weapon in crafting. We could still craft the weapon the same way we have a weapon now. They'll get us an additional crafting slot.
I'm not sure that's the case though, because obviously they're making more. They're gonna be making. If they're taking that off, they have plans to put something else on.
Yeah.
So would you rather be able to make the weapon that you want, and know that there is a path for you to do that, whether it be 30 hours of mindlessly killing stuff, but no matter what, you can reach that, or have it the way it is now and get a couple orbs? Which would you rather have?
Those two things are not mutually exclusive.
I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this.
Okay.
We'll ask Chad. He's going to take your side.
I'm just not understanding your point.
My
because
point
of the
is,
same thing what Jared's saying.
Yeah. If you have to have one or the other, which would you rather have? Because obviously they couldn't have both, or we would have both.
No, this stems back to the exotics not being able to make orbs. That's what this got rolling down the hill with.
I mean, we don't know that is.
They said in the top, that's what the reason behind this. One of the core pillar reasons is exotics not being able to make orbs, and then weapon crafting.
But we also know that the memory thing is an issue as well, and them trying to make armor mean more. So, which would you rather have? Would you rather have it to where armor has to mean more? Like, I mean, if there was a way to have everything, then we would have everything, but we can't have everything, obviously.
I would just burn all old gen consoles, screw them, leave them behind. That's what I do.
I think we can all agree to that. We'll all agree to that. Agreed.
Yep.
All right. So a lot of stuff in that TWAB. They answered a couple quick questions about just a few things like the 30th anniversary content and Zur and the dungeon, all that stuff. It's going to be around for the entire year. 2022 is not going away anytime soon. So people was concerned like when was it going away and stuff like that. So it's going to be around for the entire year, and then they're fill us in more at going into 2023 when that's going to be taken away or going into the content vault. Again, they mentioned the emblem for the new light, Save the New Lights, which is like a 9 blacked out emblem that looks pretty cool. But basically all you have to do is run a Dares of Eternity before the 19th to get that. And then they have more Threads of Light stuff coming to Instagram and post your stuff on there and Twitter and at Destiny the Game. All right, so that is it for the TWAB. We pretty much have broken down all the newest weapons and like the raid weapons and everything. So if there's any weapons you want us to specifically talk about going forward in the Witch Queen, we definitely will. But this time what we're going to do, we're going to talk about what rockets we would pair with Gallahorn. So I've seen a lot of testing videos on YouTube. People like testing out total DPS, total damage output, and then comparing that, the difference of DPS for rockets with different perks. So we're just going to talk about here what rockets we were going to choose if we're like the legendary rocket in the raid squad or in the fire team to pair with somebody using Gallahorn. And the reason that is that Gallahorn gives the perk Pack Hunter to everybody close by that is using a legendary rocket, which give them Wolfpack rounds and also a slight increase to handling and reload speed. All right. So to me, I have two options really. I have a hothead that's adept, smart drift control, but then it has impact casing, demolitionist, and clown cartridge. So depending on what I'm building out with, I can shoot 3 rockets off without reloading, and then say I'm using the exotic where I have 2 grenades, I basically shoot 6 rockets off with only 1 reload. But normally rockets only hold 7 unless you have reserves on. Next one I got is a World Entry. I have hard launch, black powder, impulse amplifier, and then clown cartridge. And I also have an impact, auto loading, holster, and demo. So the good thing about World Entry is that it has the built-in tracking. You kind of don't have to worry about leading your rocket or timing it out right, or maybe you have to shoot towards the feet instead of directly at the enemy. So that's stuff to keep in mind. To me, might make World Entry just an easier use, depending on the boss or the target. If they're flying around, because we all see Savathun in the trailer, she's a moth flying around. She duplicated herself and is flying around. So maybe the auto tracking stuff is going to be a little bit better.
Yeah, and is Hothead have that auto tracking as well? Or
yeah, it's in the third column. I could use that instead of demolitionist, but like when you're thinking about the hierarchy of rocket launchers, like you're getting tracking for free with the precision frames, which is kind of
Yeah,
Just makes them that
that
much
that was
better.
my question
Mm-hmm.
because I only have one hothead.
Yeah.
So I've never used it. So I don't know if I didn't know if it was that precision frame or not. That answers the question.
Yeah, so a
Um,
depth pod head, the third column always comes with tracking.
always has tracking. Yeah, because it can't have celerity, right? Or whatever it is. Yeah.
Bottomless grief.
Um, yeah. Um, now I have the rocket that Ryan's going to talk about, so I'll let him talk about that. But all like I don't have any real rockets that have clown cartridge besides the one that Ryan's going to talk about. All the rockets that I have are impulse lasting because of what happened in Season of the Chosen.
Yeah.
Because Lasting Impressions was a was a banger. So because of that, I have a bunch of those.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have any that don't have that. Um, now I do have a hothead, but it's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have clown. It doesn't have demo. Um, but I'm just gonna have to grind out maybe some battlegrounds and try to get one of those or
No. Let's wait for the GM to come out and all three of us grind it for
yeah,
a bit.
that was gonna be my next thing. I was gonna say, or I'm just gonna have
Yeah.
to grind out that hothead and watch Ryan get 5 of them before I get none of them.
I know. I usually just tell you that I got 5 of them. I usually don't get any. I just tell you that I got a bunch.
Well, I have no proof that that's the case. So far, what I'm saying is the truth.
The other thing I have my eye on that I don't have one yet is the Hedge and Vision. So I'm pretty sure you can get field prep Vorpal. Anything with just
Yes.
anything field prep Vorpal is also another viable option because you get your extra rockets and extra reload speed.
Well, thanks, Jared, for taking my second one that I was going to talk about. Chad, are you finished with kind of what you have?
Yeah.
All right.
The band with no god rolls.
Hey.
Allegedly. So my best option realistically is the Zur roll that I zerned along with most of you other people. Thank you for your service, Zur. That has the clown cartridge moving target because based upon the Dado Wado video that I saw, clown cartridge is the most important perk to have because the clown cartridge guarantees you to have like 2 in the mag, which obviously without having to reload between 2 rockets, you're going to pump more DPS out. However, I do have like some code duellos that have like the field prep and lasting impressions, like Chad had mentioned. The hothead adept that I kept has tracking explosive light. I have some Hesitant Vengeances that have overflow, which overflow is kind of a rough one because with the overflow, you have to run over like an ammo brick in order to get that perk. So it's not as consistent as like a clown cartridge with that. However, I do have a Hesitant Vengeance that has auto loading cluster bomb that I'm not sure how it'll work, but I imagine that Zur roll is probably my best one if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think just like looking back, like we did not grind out Vault of Glass for the Hedge and Vengeance very much. Like I think we was focused on like getting the title done right, and then like getting the fate bringers for the most part. Just like after you get that time loss version, you're like the other ones were just like okay, right?
Right.
Not super
That and the sniper
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like rough. We kind of went after the sniper, but not really.
Yep. Which I think there's room for us to go back there and improve our roles, but as Chad mentions there, focusing engrams back from Season of the Chosen for the code duello, code duello, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing I'm worried about lasting impression for like for raid scenarios is like you shoot a rocket on the boss and like the damage ends before the rocket actually goes off. So, but the scenario that comes to my mind of when that would actually work really well is that you have the person with the divinity, but an auto-loading lasting impression rocket, and then that way they can switch back to the divinity while that's rocket's going off and it's getting its Gallahorn buff and everything. All right. So that's what we got for weapons breakdown this week. Is there any weapon or anything that pairs with a certain exotic you want us to go over? If anything if we want to talk about PvP weapons that we use that's in the meta, we can talk about that. But mainly that's DMT. That is hand cannons, and that is Christopher shotguns. Like me and Fox was playing Banner the other night, and we're like trying out other weapons, and we're like, we just need to put on a hand cannon shotgun, because if we don't do that, that's what everybody else is doing, and you're playing at a disadvantage.
Yeah, man. I was. It took me like 2 games to get the last 2% on that DMT catalyst completed, because we played maps that weren't really conducive to like scout rifles was part of it, but the other part was that as soon as I switched over to like an adept palindrome and a fractithist, all of a sudden I started going real positive, in between 1.5 and 2, and I was like, well, I wonder why this is the case. Because without doing that, like Jared said, you're literally putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I did not have a good time in Iron Banner last night. I was very frustrated. Had I played freelance, it probably would have had more fun. But why should I have to play freelance whenever my buddy is on the line also, and then we both have to play freelance? Like that's pretty whack.
Yep, I stayed away because of the last Iron Banner. I watched myself play like 6 games and only get to like 5% on one of the bounties, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm good. I saw you guys getting on last night, and I'm like, I'm just gonna keep playing my Skyward Sword here, and hope you guys have fun.
I was
'Cause
wondering
I
what
wasn't
you've been
gonna.
playing, because you haven't been online, and I know that you
Nah,
finished your hard mode on your Metroid game, so I didn't know if
100%.
you were running like what is that, a Nuzlocke run, or isn't there a new Pokemon game coming out soon,
The
Arceus or whatever?
the Arceus is coming out soon. I still have to finish my Brilliant Diamond run, but I've never played Skyward Sword because nobody buys the Wii U.
Yeah, they
So
die at the end.
yeah, so
Spoiler alert.
thanks, Ryan. Like I
You're
said
welcome,
just a
man.
second ago, I've never played the game.
Yeah, Zelda dies. The guy in the green suit, Zelda, he dies.
Yeah,
at the
he
end, so.
gruesome death.
What did you just say? You had to do some kind of certain run in a Pokemon game?
No, I just have to finish Brilliant Diamond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought that was like a
yeah.
type of like you handicap
it's not.
yourself when you go through it or
No,
something.
the Nuzlocke is enough of a handicap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one I mentioned, was the Nuzlocke.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Chad. We got another lore segment coming up. What we got in stock for us today?
Today we are talking about Clovis. I gave you guys kind of a teaser on him last week when we went through his experiments, when he was doing some testing on some exos. And it was basically just recorded voice logs of him and a couple of different scientists. But those were audio logs taken at the Brave facility. This is an actual personal log that he took down and hand wrote in the journal as well. That you actually got this in the legendary edition for it. Was a physical copy that you got in that. Now I wanted to give a little teaser last week on Clovis just so you could kind of hear what he physically says about people and does. It doesn't nearly get as atrocious as it does in the personal log. He is definitely a very complex and absolutely maniacal character. But he's the father of the Exos, and so he's a very, very important character that I'm very sad didn't get any kind of screen time after Beyond Light. But the personal log, it'll be a 2-part thing. Now it starts off He encrypts it. He's on board his ship, the Hanu 2, with his Hanu AI, just kind of going over Jupiter. And he calls it the Lord of Planets. And he's sitting there listening to music, and he says that he is with the gods. The objective there was to construct long-term scientific outpost for study of indigenous European life. Now we know that that's clearly not the case. He wasn't there to catalog life there, but that's what he had to state so that he could get some not backers, but he could get people to join the crew. Now he had some starter habitats, heavily shielded worker frames, kind of like the ones that Rasputin used in the season of the Worthy. Those big, huge frames. Had backup replication chambers, side of machines, um, lots of environment engineers, and support pods. So he had lots of things there ready to basically create a science society on Europa. Now it was heavy, heavy radiation environment. So if a human went out into that area, a regular human, they would die within a day. And so they had to make sure that they set up an environment where they didn't have to deal with that. Now, he states that the reason they're there, the K1 artifact promised me an offering, a gateway to the secret of immortality. I call it clarity. It is waiting on Europa. I am still dying, but it is not fast enough to kill me. Corporeal status, body at 35.9 C, pulse 25 BPM, strength good. BP 75/50, respiration 6 breaths per minute, pulse ox 210%. Today's blood mix is fluorocarbon with stem slurry. Avoid hyperfocus with an alpha brainwave wash 10 minutes per hour. New kidneys are growing in Whitford, the deli pig, for next transplants. Must find a good pork recipe so Whitford will not go to waste. Medical team insists I accept cytomachine injections. No. Nothing enters my body that does not share my genetic self-interest. Instead, I will grow an upgraded monocyte strain. Elizabeth's birthday approaches. A good gift would be an olive branch. Never let her say I do not try. Anu, please identify a gift that only could come from my own intimate and personal knowledge of my granddaughter. Gift suggestions. Antique weapon or Twin Eagle replica. Professional pilot trained on Eon series starship. Bespoke AI writer of personalized novels. Fruit basket. Titan farmed. Humanitarian investment. Minefield clearance. Long-term reparations. Anti-traumatic medicine. These are pathetic, Hanu. Revised gift suggestions. Research endowment. Medical. Research endowment. Psychological. Research endowment. Psychological reconstruction of trust after loss. Personal apology. Unpracticed. Death of patient. Statement of grief. Unpracticed. Death of son. Never mind, Hanu. Just buy a couple of dog hives. Everyone loves dog hives. So he's trying to make up with his granddaughter, Elizabeth Bray, who we know or you've met a couple of times here and there. But clearly all he's doing is trying to make up for something that he did in a way that he thinks is right, but is clearly not. It's he's very self-absorbed. All his gifts that he revises are basically about him for her. So they talk about how Europa was like terraformed, but it's still highly pressurized. So if you go into the water, it's basically twice as high pressure as Earth. So you go a little bit below the surface and you're being absolutely crushed. And then he just sits there and talks about the pods that they're in, radiation being outside. And he says, I sulk in isolation as the crew works. My pride is wounded. Did I expect Clarity to come out and greet me? Hail to Clovis Bray, first among men. Yes, absolutely I did. The lunar artifact promised me a solution to the false modesty. Damn vanity. I am different. Not for my present qualities, but for my future influence. I shine with noon's light reflected back through time to this age of dawn. I am going to be the Luca of all interstellar human civilization. It is a mistake to imagine the greatest man, the god emperor of history and ruler of circumstances whose influence reaches to the end of time, will live in the future. In the full flowering of human glory, that man lives now, at the tiny bottleneck where the before the vast explosion when it's still possible for an individual's decisions to touch the entire species and set the course of all future choices. So very clearly here, he thinks of himself as Adam being the Luca, the beginning of all human life or the interstellar human civilization, not the human civilization that's within our little soul sphere here, but within the entire galaxy. He wants to be the beginning of the entirety of it, and doesn't even want to. He's so convinced that he's going to be by the help of clarity, that he thinks that the darkness itself would be sitting there with poppers and wine waiting to welcome him there as the first of his kind. Um, just absolutely self-absorbed.
Mm-hmm.
Now he goes on to talk about his kids, and he says, children are vital replicators of our ideas, but there is a certain terror about them. They alter our legacy, mutated as Clovis II modified competent immortality through P4 into Clovis points. What if my children decide on some key amendment, some ineffable change which makes my legacy no longer mine? How can I be reborn through the eternal recurrence of my life logic if what my children pass down is the logic of some other Clovis, some flawed copy, just as Clovis II was a flawed image of me, a flaw that I created in my clumsy eagerness to make him flawless? My second boldest decision during my son's development was to replace Clovis II's mitochondrial DNA, normally inherited from the mother, with my own. I had to know that in his cellular energies powering his existence, it was not that change which killed him, but it is the fear of being replaced by a faulty duplicate that will kill me if I put off my brain upload much longer. So he blames the mother for his son dying, even though clearly he genetically modified his son to be a carbon copy of himself. And any scientist would tell you that that's probably what did it. But he's like, no, I didn't make a mistake. I made another me. And he messed up somewhere. The mother messed up.
Mm-hmm.
It,
So
gosh.
we talk about when he got clarity. Is that from the
Yeah.
the anomaly? That's the PvP map, or is it the pyramid?
Yeah. The K1 is the square on the moon map. It's the one that's in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
So at first that was China. I believe it was China that was the one that was dealing with that anomaly. And they called him in with his expertise and his science brilliance. And he went in and it spoke to him and it told him to go to Europa. And they said they said the key would be there for immortality, or at least that's what he says it said. We don't really know. The thing whispers to us, and we can't really tell what it says as far as we're aware. So that's what sent him to Europa, was that anomaly that on that map.
China.
China. And he keeps going on about this. It goes back into his new vitals. Hasn't really changed. 35.5C, pulse 30 BPM. Things haven't changed too much. But the donor pig was sacrificed, brined, and prepared as seared pork chops. Makes a note here about it. It says, sous vide is for prissy nerds. Poor Whitford. I wonder if I should reduce the volume of my stem cells introduced to the pig blastocysts. I feel too much empathy for them. Does P4 compel me to take better care of Clovis pig chimeras than ordinary pork? Yes. But only to the extent that they can contribute to my legacy with cloned organs and good eating. No guilt. So he doesn't feel bad about it. He only feels bad that that they couldn't do more for him. It's wild, man. He's a crazy person. He is a very, very, very far beyond a crazy person. Now he goes into the next entry and he says, I died. What a nuisance. Dropped dead of dysautonomia while rummaging for a leftover pork chop. I am now in recovery in a medical smile pod. I have no breath and no pulse. It is the return of oxygen to dead tissue that does most of the damage. I should be asleep. But I have to get this down quickly. While I was dead, I had a dream. I was a working exobody. I felt so strong, everything so vivid, no need for waxy eardrums or jelly eyeballs, like seeing for the first time after a life of cataracts. I think I was immortal. The only unpleasant aspect of the experience was my amnesia. I couldn't recall my own name. I saw someone walking past me. I think it must have been Anastasia. And not only did I fail to recognize her, but it never even occurred to me that I should. So the darkness sent him a vision in his death about a future event. Listening to it more closely, you can tell that he has amnesia, can't recall his own name, and he sees Anna walk past him. So we know, which it's not logged in the journal, obviously, because it happens later, but we know that our good buddy, the gunsmith, is actually an exo body for Clovis. But since it's been reset so many times, it's no longer Clovis. It's just an exo. While it has some of his personality traits, it's not nearly as corrupted as the OG Clovis himself. So I always think that's really odd that he has this vision of the future during his death. But it's obviously something, because he died, he got connected to the darkness in a way that they showed him something. And that showing him that he was in a working exobody was enough to give him that extra push to make his dreams come true. So he likes to describe the Luca here, and in biology terms, it's the last universal common ancestor. And like I said, he gives an example for life. For Earth life, it is a single cell that lived in deep ocean billions of years ago, flourishing in the warmth of magma or sulfur vents. It was not the first life on Earth, but it was the only life whose descendants survived to the present. All its contemporaries have been extinguished in the passage of epochs. I plan to be the Luca of all future human thought. So he's doing everything he can to make the Exos a dream so that he can be the progenitor of all of it and be the future, like I said, of humanity. Now, he goes back to the study of the lunar artifact retrieved from the K1 mission provides insights into the effect of the term clarity. Clarity is not asymmetrical. For example, it violates time reversibility. Consider a simple equation. Clarity times A turns to B. This application, a clarity to state A, produces a lower entropy, state B. But if you reverse it, it should go back to A. When you do it in math, it just flips back. But when he applies reverse clarity to B, it turns to C. But if you apply regular clarity to B, it also turns into C. So clarity will never change. What it does is it turns something into a space where only the strongest survive. We know that from my past readings as sword logic for the Hive. Only the strongest survive when the darkness is around, and that's just the way they work. And so clarity is kind of a purifying force for that. He calls it the universal solvent or the alkahest, something to prepare something for eternal life. Now he sends a message to Wilhelmina. He sends her an email log, telling her he's on Europa doing some very exciting work, trying to get her to come over. He wants to help her, and he's thinking of her and wants her to help him, which will end up helping the rest of the family. He drafts it, but he doesn't send it. He drafts another email for Anastasia. Basically the same thing, saying, I'm your grandfather. I understand that you may be reluctant to talk to me because of your father, but come and help save me, and we can save your other family. And he doesn't send that one either. The next he sends one to Elizabeth, and he says, come to Europa. I'm taking an enormous risk, and this time I am the one at risk. Let me prove to you that I did nothing to your father that I wouldn't do to myself. There are significant dangers outside context threats. Your expertise would be invaluable. I need you. Send. The next entry, he says, I found her. He says, I wonder why Clarity chose the particular aspect it did, that form, that face, the same visage of the priest cursor on Earth's moon. What is it meant to communicate? Is it a message particularly meant for me? So he finds the same statue in Clarity, which is like at the entrance of the Deep Stone Crypt on the way down. That's on Earth's moon. So he has seen what some people call the witness or stuff like that. It's just that the veiled female. And they found it. So he starts talking about the exos and why they're failing. He says the first stage of breakdown is looping, the same repetitive behavior over and over again. It's observed in zoo animals. Prototypes repeat similar conversations and action schemes, and they do it again and again. Mid-stage symptoms are pacing, chewing, rocking, grunting, striking limbs against walls or furniture, and facial tics. Eventually, upsetting results apoptosis, a disorder characterized by slow, involuntary writhing motions of the limbs, digits, neck, tongue, and early exobodies would tear themselves apart like starfish. And this is how his son died. So he actually implanted his son. Now we know how he killed his son. He implanted him into an exobody that wasn't prepared yet, and he ripped himself apart. And then he says eventually the shutdown proceeds far enough that the exomind can't sustain its default network of the living brain, and it vegetates. But it does it to itself. No outside stimulus. The exobrain actually turns itself off. And he says, I believe that the human mind is engaged in constant self-correction in order to filter out external causation that might disrupt our self-loops. The mind screens out errors caused by cosmic rays, EM fields, stuff like that, by running kind of constant checksum on itself. Perhaps the recursive self-checking is even a source of consciousness. Exominds, however, are immune to that natural state of error. They're not messy enough. They do not suffer enough jitter through degradation. So, without this self-corrective process, he believes that exominds do not see themselves as human and fail. They need to see themselves as mortal, as that kind of thing. And since they don't have that biological error, he needs to find a way to replicate it. But he believes he can generate it with clarity. He thinks that if he applies clarity correctly, he can process some kind of tangible incarnate for it. He sends another email to Elizabeth, and he talks about it saving her, since she has the same disease that's killing him, that was going to kill the father, but he ended up killing him instead, and is also affecting Elizabeth as well. So now we know the reason why she's in an exobody, because she's suffering the same disease as they do. He sends that to them, tells her the horrors of what's going to happen to her if he doesn't, and then sends it. He's a great grandfather. Just excellent. He just starts listing off all the horrible things that's going to happen to her if she doesn't help. He's like, hey, you're going to get dementia, waste away, you're going to turn into a husk of yourself, and then you're going to die, and I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, like we gotta go take him out at some point.
Yeah, he's a big old head.
Yeah,
he's just a head. He can't fight back.
Yeah, he's back there just lurking with his little robots. He's building himself a body. He's building himself something
gigantic.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, so that's in the lore. Fox, I hope you're ready for the history of Bungie.
I am super ready for the history of Bungie. My mic working okay?
Yeah.
All right. So, last week we discussed Halo 2. This week we are up to Halo 3. Halo 2 released on November 9th, 2004. At that point, it was the biggest game basically of all time. And it was the highest grossing entertainment event ever in the first week after release. So, if you guys remembered, Halo 2, it was quite the, what's the word I'm looking for? Quite the crunch leading up to the release. As a result of this, people that were close friends in the company began to despise each other. And due to the stress releasing around Halo 2, you kind of saw some of the people that had been at the company for a long time start to leave. First off, we got Jason Jones, who, as you guys remember, he was the top of the food chain. Alex Seropian and him were the two that started the company initially. So he left without plans to return. Alex was already gone, and now the issue is that there is no clear front runner to lead the project. So, as you guys may remember from the last week, our boy Max Hoberman, he was the one that led the party game version of the multiplayer. He is now offered the lead of Halo 3. So he naturally takes it. Bungie spends roughly 1 year in pre-production on Halo 3. And the issue that now they are facing is they feel like they are becoming, quote unquote, the Halo studio. So basically, they exist solely for the purpose of making Halo. Which, let's be honest, at the time, that's what they were for. So, remember how we discussed all throughout this series, Bungie hates making sequels. And as a matter of fact, last week, they were prepared to end the entire franchise in Halo 2, but the entire third act of the game was cut due to not having enough time. So, Bungie decides they're ready to break free from Halo, and the only way to do this, they feel, is to gain independence. So they meet with Microsoft, and a deal is struck that Microsoft has to make 3 more Halo games. Those games are going to be Halo 3, Halo 4, which eventually became Halo Reach, and another game in between. So what was the game in between? Most of you are going to say, oh, that's Halo ODST. Well, at the time, there was actually a unannounced Peter Jackson Halo project that was in production called Halo Chronicles. So Joseph Staten, who is kind of like the godfather of Halo, he's the guy that has basically done all the story up until this point. He left the company after a fallout with Marcus Leto. Marcus is a designer in the game, and he moves to New Zealand to be with Peter Jackson. And at this point, Microsoft is working on a movie at this point, like a feature presentation. They're working on this Peter Jackson project. They have a lot of Halo 3 marketing in effect as well. So they also have a company by the name of Ensemble Studios who is working on the Halo Wars real-time strategy game as well. So Staten, who led the story, was naturally a person that could kind of help do the script for a movie, help make a storyline for the Halo Wars game, and help Peter Jackson, who that game was scheduled to be a prequel to the Halo trilogy that was coming out. So, just as a quick aside, I'll ask you guys, what do you think that the elevator pitch of that story was going to be?
The Chronicles one?
Yep, Halo Chronicles.
I guess it's like the guy that's in the Master Chief suit before he becomes like the person in the suit.
That's actually a pretty good guess.
Ooh.
It was actually set to be a prequel to the initial Halo trilogy, to where you are fighting the Prometheans, which at the time, the Prometheans were only hinted at in the lore. They were not like a fully fleshed out race or tribe or group of people or animals or whatever you want to
Species.
call them.
Race.
Species. Thank you,
Whatever.
Chad. Thank you for your service, Chad. So at that point, what's happened is they reach out to, there's basically nobody in charge of Halo. So our boy Max Hoberman, who you may remember from last week, as well as the Halo 1 week, the guy who led the quote unquote party multiplayer of Halo 2, comes in and he's made the lead. So he now is in this position, and based upon some of the documentaries and things that I watched, keep in mind that Halo 3 was coming out on the Xbox 360 at this time. And with the Xbox 360, I'm sure you guys recall, it was kind of the first system that had online functionality built into like the dashboard and those type of things. So the entire Xbox Live architecture changed from the original Xbox to the Xbox 360. So it was said that on day one of Halo 3, the multiplayer team was 1 year behind due to all of that back end stuff being changed. Pretty crazy if you think about it. They said it was great for like the engine work and the campaign because they had a lot more horsepower to work with under the hood. However, multiplayer was basically screwed. So, bouncing back to the Peter Jackson project, they get Joseph Staten in. He goes in and he's working on all this. Microsoft is pitching like Fox and Universal and like Harvey Weinstein and all these people. And, you know, they're trying to get a Halo movie made, and Bungie's just trying to put a good game out. Keep in mind, Halo 2 was basically chopped at the end. They lost over half of what they had set out to do. So they're trying to avoid that this time. So you got, since Hoberman was leading the team and he was basically a multiplayer person, the story was basically, there wasn't like one story lead. It was a committee of people trying to make a story. So Marty O'Donnell talks in an interview that I listened to that essentially there were too many cooks in the kitchen and the story had, quote, no stakes, and it was, quote, pretty much by the numbers. So Marty talks that he watched the movie Serenity, which I personally have never seen. I guess it came out in 2005. But after watching that movie, he realized that the story needed, quote, more depth. So he goes in and proposes the death of Miranda Keyes, Sergeant Johnson, R.I.P. Sergeant Johnson, and eventually the story was tweaked. So not long after this, the Peter Jackson game falls through. Dayton comes back to Bungie and kind of ties all the narrative pieces in, and it ended up kind of being what we had. Jason Jones also comes back at this time. However, he has little involvement with the crunch on Halo 3. And I think the way it was worded, he was working on, quote, the destiny of the company going forward, which is kind of a pretty cool play on words looking at it now. So a lot of this, I know, Jared, you and I had discussed the Halo 3, the Legendary Edition that came with the helmet.
Mhm.
If you remember, when you took the helmet off, there were two game cases down inside that. One was the Halo 3 game case, and the other was the DVD. I actually went out and found my helmet and pulled that DVD out and watched it, which had a Halo 3 documentary built in. And then I saw that it was also on YouTube, so you don't have to have that to watch it. It's a pretty cool, like hour and a half watch. That's where a lot of this information comes from. So at this point, the 360 is about to be released. So I watched the G4. They've recently come back. they have a YouTube channel, and they talked about how Jamie Gressimer, who was the first person shooter, like the godfather of the FPS control scheme on console, who worked on Halo Combat Evolved, who worked. If you remember, I kind of took a cheap shot at Chad and said that he was the one that did the whenever you move the right analog stick to aim, it's not where you're actually aiming, it's where you want to aim. The guy that wrote most of the scripts for that, he comes back and he said that he felt like the team was playing everything too safe. So he forced the team to have the break into 5 new like bubble squads, and they had to work on something that was not in the game that they thought would be a good idea to be added. So these things included equipment, the flood and multiplayer, and scarab battles. So we know at least 2 of those things made it in. A being equipment, you think about like the regen you can throw down, the bubble shield, and those type of things. The scarab battles obviously made it into the campaign. And Max Hoberman turns in his notice. Remember, he was the lead of the project in Christmas of 2006 because he wanted to start his own company. And he was kind of dealt a bad hand because of all the politics that were going on in the office. So he starts his new company called Creative Assembly. They actually put out a DLC pack for Halo 3. I want to say it was the DLC pack that came with the Halo Wars. Like if you purchased Halo Wars, you got like a legendary multiplayer map, bonus map pack or something. And I believe that's the one they went and did, but I couldn't swear to it. In May 2007, they released the Halo beta, the Halo 3 beta, and that in order to play it, you had to buy Crackdown. I know that I bought Crackdown. Chad or Jared, did you guys buy Crackdown in order to play the beta?
No.
Nope. Definitely not.
Yeah, I definitely did. So Bungie, we mentioned earlier they did not want to be the Halo studio, so they wanted to be independent. I'm sure you guys, if you think about it hard enough, you could come up with this date. But Bungie officially became an independent studio from Microsoft on July the 7th, 2007, which was 07/07/07. 4 days later, they are at E3. They release a new Halo campaign trailer. Microsoft spends $40 million on Halo 3 marketing. The game releases on September 25th. Set record for the biggest launch of all time with $170 million of sales on day one alone. In the first 24 hours, 1 million players played the game on Xbox Live. 5 million copies were sold by the end of November, making it the best-selling game of the year, which is pretty wild considering it was only on one console and was only out for the last quarter of the year. Forge mode is released with Halo 3. Obviously, it was huge in the longevity and the freshness to the game. As far as custom game types, Griffball was my favorite. Chad, I know that you kind of piddled around in a lot of the custom games. What was your favorite mode?
I did enjoy Griffball a lot. Definitely. If I wasn't doing some weird Forge stuff or Griffball or SWAT, I think Fiesta was probably my favorite mode, just because I love the randomness of it. It's always fun. Just, oh hey, I have this blazer now. I'm like, okay.
Man, there was nothing better than spawning with like the Covey sniper and the BR or something.
Yeah.
You could really do
Like, this is an MLG loadout all of a sudden.
Right. Griffball was definitely my favorite. I remember my motto and all that on Xbox Live forever was I'm like Adrian Peterson with that bomb, because I like to think that I was god tier at running that Griffball bomb. So me and my buddy Aaron Howard spent many hours in Griffball playing that. We enjoyed enjoyed ourselves quite a bit. So as of 2019, 6.6 million maps were created in Forge. Many of those eventually made it, the best of those, I should say, made it into playlist on the official like Halo 3 game types. Halo 3 was the most played multiplayer title in the Master Chief Collection since it's been released. I am very sad to report that today was the last day that legacy servers of Halo 3 existed on the Xbox 360. They were turned off earlier today. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but back in the day, whenever you logged on, there used to be a map of the world that was on there. And everywhere that somebody was signed in playing, there was a light that was showing on that map. And I always like to look at where Kentucky would be, and I always like to think that light shining was me on there. So I would like both of you to pour one out with me, and let's have a moment of silence for Halo 3. Please remember that Spartans never die. They are only missing in action. All right, Jared, take us to the mailbag, buddy.
All right. In the mailbag, first question here. Been playing over Iron Banner this week, and over half my games have ended in a mercy. What can Bungie do to fix this? Man, last night me and Fox had a long discussion about this. I don't think we settled on anything. We both had ideas thrown back and forth, and Chad, you might be the answer to our ideas here. I think I threw out the idea of you could only go in with a fire team of 3 and take away the solo playlist. So it's taking away the big stacks. You can still get in it with buddies. And now everybody's in the same playlist. And I'm also taking away crossplay.
Okay. You taking away crossplay?
I mean, no, crossplay, it's perfectly on, sorry. Yeah. Everybody's in the same playlist.
Yeah, taking away the limitations, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The trick is getting rid of freelance, because that's where everybody that wants to actually enjoy themselves goes. And then I hate to say crush the 6 stacks, but if it's banner, you're not playing to be competitive, you're playing to do bounties. You're playing to get the bounties done, to get your pinnacles, maybe try to get some tokens to roll maybe get a god roll or 2 of something. You're not in there to practice mobbing some people. You're in there for bounties. So not everybody's playing optimally. Sometimes you have to get different guns than what's the meta. Sometimes you have to try to get assists, overkills, super
Lower
kills.
your power level.
Yeah. So it's killing the 6 stack, making it a 3, or you can do 2 teams of 3, 3 teams of 2, or just a mixture of the 2 would be good. And then making it one playlist for everybody would help immensely in making the matchmaking easier and better, because just a bigger pool of people and less groups of 6 just absolutely stopping randoms.
Yeah, so Jared and I played. Jared, what we played? Probably 10 games last night. Would you say something like that?
Yeah.
Yep. So we hopped in. My issue was that 7 out of the 10 games we got absolutely annihilated. 3 out of the 10 games we annihilated the other team. I think 2 out of the 10 games went to a full time, and the closest one of those ever was 150 to 119. So really not very close either. The issue that we were having was that we were playing people that were absolutely way better than us or way worse than us. As a team, we were a team of, there was the 2 of us, and one of our clanmates was with us for a couple games, and he wasn't unbroken, so he was probably raising like our elo, which was bringing better players in against us. But it got absolutely unfun and ridiculous. I'm trying to run stuff like Lumina and a fusion rifle because I'm needing to get energy kills. I really like Lumina. It feels good. I like being able to heal my teammates, and I just got the catalyst with it, so I'm trying to play it out. But around game 8, I had got my kills bounty done. I had got my capture the zones bounty done, and I was roughly 50 to 60% done on the other 2 bounties, which were like ability / super kills, I want to say. And the other one was energy weapon kills. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go to an adept palindrome with like quick draw and rangefinder, and I'm going to pull out a fractithist with quick draw and opening shot. And at that point, I started going 1.5 to 2.0 on my KD. And I hate to be that way, but as soon as I equipped hand cannon shotgun, things changed, and I was competitive again instead of going below 1 or slightly above 1 on the KDA. So not a fun experience. I understand that we are at the end of a season, so less people are playing, but most of us are in there for bounties. The people that are, I personally think a 6 stack should only face 6 stacks, 5 stacks should only face 5 stacks, 4 stacks should only face 4 stacks, etc. I don't believe the population is so low that they can't do that. I think it's a choice to appease the people that want to go in there and just feel good about themselves by just beating the ass off of people that are worse than them. So that's the way I feel. It may not be right, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, definitely a very frustrating night. I think there's a lot of stuff they can do to improve that. If they gave it the Iron Banner treatment for rewards, I think it would improve a lot too. As in the player base getting in there and just playing it out, just getting Iron Banner engrams and then turning them into Lord Salad Man. All right. Question 2: is Bungie's player base too smart? This is another thing that we were talking about last night, and like the engagements in PvP, let alone people are very smart in PvE now too. Like everybody's doing that 60-40 engagement stuff now. So if you get 2 shots off with the hand cannon, they're diving back into cover, and then they're not popping out until 2 of the buddies are popping out at the same time, and you're getting team shot, and you're out, right? And that's a problem with 6s in particular. In 3s you kind of expect that kind of team like playing, but you're also you're also depending on your teammates. 6s you're kind of going out, you're doing your bounties, you're focused on what you're trying to do, and then you have the sweats doing that. And another thing, in PvE, we have a lot of great YouTubers out there that are doing a lot of damage testing, and everybody's finding the videos and putting on the most meta weapons possible to get everything done, right? Like, I don't know, no matter what it is, we're going to use the thing that pumps out the most DPS. So, like, people are not doing raiding counters with heavy machine guns as the DPS method. So, I don't know. Bungie continually busts and nerf stuff, but yeah, I think we might not be too smart. I think smart might be the wrong term, but we're very informed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that or more along the lines of whenever you have a 6-month season, the only people still playing are the people that really, really, really care about the game. And the people that really, really, really care are the people that are going to be optimized for everything that they go into. So I think that might be it more than the people being too smart, because I follow video games a lot, but I've never heard people say, oh, the people that play World of Warcraft or the people that play Final Fantasy 14, they're too smart. So I can't imagine that they're too smart for this game, but not too smart for those games. So I imagine it's just the only people playing right now are the people that are going to be the people that are watching the YouTube videos and the highly optimized players.
All right, question 3. Do you have plans for the podcast / streaming schedule for the week of Witch Queen release?
So I hadn't talked to you guys about this yet, but I was kind of thinking that every night we do like 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes on what we did that day. And we put it out. And that way, for those of you that have to go to work, you have a podcast to listen to on your way, on your commute. And it'll give you an idea of what you can work on that evening when you get home. And maybe we do that for the first week or so up until maybe the first reset or maybe up until the raid. We'll see. I personally have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off, and I plan to work a half day Tuesday, and I'll be ready to roll. I don't know what your guys' plans are, but that was kind of what I had thought without discussing it with you so far.
Yeah, I'm taking off Wednesday, Thursday, and I already have Friday off. So, I think if I'm on Tuesday, it's gonna be late. But like 15 minutes, every day. We'll have to see how that plays out because I think what it's going to end up happening is like after the initial time playthrough, we're just gonna be doing the same thing the next couple of days on the other characters. Like it's not gonna.
That's probably true.
Yeah, so it might be a double podcast week. I think we could probably do something like that. But I think it's just gonna be. It's my brain kind of went numb that first week of Beyond Light of just like constantly running through Europa with only one spawn point and just jumping on that spare.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was awful.
It was bad. Shadowkeep was pretty rough too, because I think me and Chad did a character a day for like the first 3 or 4 days. Like maybe like we did a character day 1, a character day 2, and a character day 4 or something. When he and I were playing that, and that got pretty rough as well.
Yep, I'm gonna be off on Tuesday throughout, but I am planning on taking like good amounts of breaks in between. I'll probably stream on my own thing on the start, stream through, just going through stuff. I know you guys will be Ryan, do you have Wednesday through off also like Jared?
I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off.
Okay.
But my plan is to schedule 4 really close patients and let them know like I'm coming at like 8, 9, 10, and 11 on Tuesday. And then I should be home in time to hit the queue whenever it starts on Tuesday.
Yeah. So
I've already
I've
kind of mentioned to some of them like, hey, on this Tuesday I might be coming real early if it's all right. And most of them are pretty cool with it. So that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, perfect. Because I'm off Tuesday, so I'll be here doing stuff. I'll be in a line, probably playing my Switch on the side, waiting. But I'll be streaming day 1, trying to get some views in there for us. Some people, I've gotten some people on grinding days that follow us on Twitter and stuff like that, and it's always cool to see a Twitter DM hit when I'm just mindlessly grinding Gambit for 10 hours straight.
Oh, that's painful.
It was painful. Yeah, I think I didn't see one happen when I was doing dares, but oh well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm always down to do whatever Ryan and Jared decide on as far as podcast plans. It's gonna be the first week is hard on lore because I have to figure out what to talk about.
I think that first week, Chad, is you kind of just have to talk about what's going on story wise in the cutscenes and stuff,
because
right?
it's the story first, and then you can talk about deeper things.
So we'll probably need to do like the campaign story podcast, and then after that, then like the activities podcast and like weapons.
Okay.
So that way people can like leave out the story and campaign part, because that's usually the most people are concerned about spoiler wise, or like
Yeah, no,
having
that's a good
time to
idea.
play through, right? Yeah. All right, because I mean, who knows how weapon crafting goes? That might be like a whole separate podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. All right. Question 4. What are your expectations for the raid that is coming? Do you think we'll get another D1 ported raid? So I guess there's 2 questions here. So what's our expectations of the Witch Queen raid, and then I guess the D1 ported raid that will come like season 18.
Yeah, the second season, right?
Yeah. So season 16 is Witch Queen. Season
Then
off.
17, and then 18 is the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, expectations so far are that we're gonna be, because we've seen the pyramid ship that's in Savathun's area, literally raiding it, going in there would be cool, because we've only seen a little bit of a pyramid ship on the inside, but having a raid inside of there would be cool. I think we're mostly expecting that. And as far as bosses go, I don't know. I mean, Bungie already said that they're trying not to do one bang um storyline into a raid that's also the same boss as the story.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be darkness related. We know that the Scorn is an enemy in that area. Just based off of architecture and certain things, and there's pictures.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think
I
it's
don't know.
it's a given at this point. They're going to split us up at least 3-3 or 2-2, and we have to
Yeah,
communicate
2-2-2 would be rad.
what we see to the other team so they can hit the right buttons or shoot the right object and relay that to the other team. I think that's no doubt going to be a thing. The D1 ported raid, the way they did Vault of Glass, how you had to do it twice to get the emblem. If they do that again, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, no, I felt so bad because we did it. We did it before, like, I think for me it was like 11, before 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We beat Vault, and I'm like, dude, this is great. And I'm like, no way, we're doing a master with all the challenges in, like, from here on. Like, no,
Yeah.
there should have been 2 separate emblems for chumps like us that can only do the regular, and for the streamers that can do the master. Like, yeah, like Jared said, if they do that again, I'm gonna be like, you know what? If someone wants to make a team, I'll play, but not very seriously. Like, if it hits the same time as what we finished VOG in, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm out. You guys can find a 6th, because I'm not staying up later for no reason.
I think that lengthwise for the raid, I'm expecting an opening encounter that will be like form the spire / race your sparrow. And then we will have an opening encounter, a boss encounter, a third encounter, and then a boss encounter. So 5 encounters total, 2 boss encounters. That's kind of what I expect, which would be on par with the Garden of Salvation, and it would also be on par with the rocket launcher Deepstone Crypt.
Yeah.
That's kind of my expectations. D1 ported raid, we probably get. We had kind of discussed this earlier. Most people are thinking King's Fall, but I think Chad had talked about whenever we first started this season, whenever you become encumbered by carrying the what's the seasonal astral alignment, whenever you have
The
to carry those
batteries.
things up the hill, they've kind of brought that mechanic back in, so we might be seeing a like the Axis raid, perhaps. The only thing would be the Wrath of the Machine. Would they really bring back a enemy that's not currently in the game, which would be the Siva version of the Fallen. So that would be the only thing stopping that. But due to the easiness of bringing that as opposed to a King's Fall, which has like the opening encounter where you're ducking in the statues, and then the jumping puzzle, and then the totem puzzle, and then the war priest, and then Golgoroth, and then the Dick Wall, and then the daughters, and then Oryx. It's more likely that we get Wrath of the Machine, in my opinion. What do you think, Chad?
I mean, like you said, I didn't think about it, but all the Siva enemies, we know that the nanites are in the system. The coding for the effects is already there. So I'm hopeful, but again, they would have to bring in a whole new enemy type just for that. Literally just for that. Nowhere else but that. They could use it in Gambit. That would be dope. But, you know, like I hope it's Wrath because I love Wrath. King's Fall makes the most sense, and that's why I don't want it because it makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Last question here. Do you ever do divinity runs? And then so many runs make it to the final boss and die horrible deaths. Yeah, we've done many divinity runs.
Yeah, we've got 2 more scheduled for tomorrow. Actually, with some people in the clan that do not have divinity yet. If you're somebody that doesn't have divinity, make sure you send us a message on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. We would love to help you out with that. Having Sleeper Simulant basically trivializes that entire raid. I think we killed the Harpy boss on that. What, like a third of the way down the hallway on that encounter, Jared?
Yeah, it might have made it halfway. It was never seen that done before.
It was definitely just at halfway, like barely. It was blowing up on the halfway line.
Yeah, and then the final boss was a 2-phase pretty easily. So get that Sleeper Simulant from the kiosk. Send us a message on Twitter at DestinyCCPod, and we can get you through that without too much trouble. I think the only thing that we wiped on was that first encounter, which took us, I think, in the 3rd attempt we got it, but everything after that was first attempt. So hour and a half, we can have you there. Just let us know that you want some assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have we created a squad for the Divinity run for our boys, Ryan's boys, and it just became kind of a thing we did for the clan, where we get 1 or 2 people in at a time and just kind of run them through. And it's a fun time, it's a fun time with the mods that are going on right now, especially particle deconstruction. That raid's a lot easier. So even if it's your first time, I think we've run 2 first timers in through on divinity runs. Us as a group, me personally, we haven't had a time where we were stuck on the last boss long enough for us to give up the run because it's too much work. We were gonna finish it, but I understand that feeling.
Absolutely.
Because I know people that have, where they're like sitting on the boss for 4 hours and they're like, you know what, divinity isn't worth this, and they just quit, and it sucks. But that won't happen to us. We'll run you guys through. We'll get you divinities and have a good time.
We usually try to do like 2 people at a time. Seems to be the easiest, because then we can kind of pair you up with somebody, and you just kind of you're their wingman throughout all the encounters, and that seems to work out fairly well.
Yep. All right, guys. That sounds
All
like
right.
it's it.
I think we're at the end here. So make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at DestinyCCPod. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, all those other things, click the notifications, click the bell, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to let these two guys sign off.
Yeah, we only have 5 more TWABs, basically 5 more episodes till Witch Queen. So, man, I can't believe it's just around the corner. So we got, they talked about, we got some gambit changes, we got weapon crafting, we got other mods, and, they're going to change out the sandbox too. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about leading up to Witch Queen.
Yep. And as far as lore goes, we're going to finish off Bray. And then it's the last. I'm expecting the last 3 weeks to be a lot of stuff being Witch Queen related. So it's gonna be very light lore and more speculation on stuff that's gonna be happening. So it'll be a fun time.
Go Cats. I love you guys.